Meet the Expert, a knowledge-sharing initiative of your knowledge partner, the Developing Bangladesh. We discuss on trade, investment, commerce, education, skills, economic development, global peace and prosperity, etc. issues. If you are interested to these issues, please subscribe to the channel. Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner, please subscribe now.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Dear audience, today our discussion topic is cottage, micro, small, medium enterprise development, or CMSME development, Bangladesh perspective. Let's see what are there in the outline. At first, we would like to define enterprise and classify enterprises into cottage, micro, small, and medium segments, and come to the point, the importance and contribution of CMSMEs in Bangladesh economy. Impact of COVID-19 on CMSMEs in Bangladesh, and what CMSMEs are, sector, subsector, or segment, where CMSMEs are mostly exists, sector or subsector or location-wise SME development policies, cluster-based CMSME development, challenges facing by the CMSMEs in Bangladesh, finally recommending something to the government, to the donor, to the development practitioners for betterment of the CMSMEs. At first, let's try to define what enterprises are. An enterprise, the word, in other words, we can define a for-profit business company or entity. It is most often associated with entrepreneurial ventures. It could be classified into different types. For example, sole proprietorship, when an enterprise run by one individual for profit could be termed as sole proprietorship. When more than one individual is involved with operations of an enterprise, it could be termed as partnership. An enterprise, when it got government registration and other formalities done as an incorporation, then it could be termed as an incorporated. It could be even a single person company, OPIS, one person company in Bangladesh, as well as in abroad as well. So these enterprises or companies could be registered under register of joint stock companies and firms. Then it could be termed as a joint stock company or as a limited company. It could be private limited company with up to 7 shareholders, and it could be a public limited company, publicly listed in the share market and traded daily. So these are the primary classification of enterprises. So how industries or enterprises are defined in legal document of the government of Bangladesh. According to National Industrial Policy 2016, industries has been classified into separate category. The lowest segment start with cottage. That is up to 15 family members, or the family mainly leading by the family members with some workers and staffs, and investment could be not more than $12,333 US. It is worth to disclaim here that National Industrial Policy 2016 of Bangladesh defined these categories in Bangladeshi taka. But for comparison purpose, we have transformed the amount into US dollar, because we will compare Bangladeshi definition with some Asian and global definition as well in the coming slides. Second category is micro. It starts from 12,000 US dollar to 92,000 US dollar. An employee 16 to 30 employee. In terms of service sector, it is 12,000, and employee up to 15. In terms of manufacturing industry, between 92,000 to $1.85 million investment companies could be termed as small, whereas 31 to 120 people are involved with it. In service sector, it is $12,225 million. In terms of employment, 16 to 50 employment are there. For medium industry, $1.85 million to $6.17 million. And in terms of employment, it is 121 to 300. But for ready-made garments and other labor-intensive industries, it could be even 1,000. In terms of service sector, it could be 51 to 120 people. So these are, in nutshell, the definition of cottage, micro, small and medium enterprises in Bangladesh currently. But previously, in National Industrial Policy 2010, and even before, it was less, or sometimes there are some segments who are not there. For example, if we would like to look at the industrial policies in 1986 of Bangladesh, then we can see only two categories there, small and cottage. Cottage are run by the family members. It is forever in 1986, 1991, 1999. In 2005, 2010, and 2016. Come to the point micro. In 86, 91, and 99, this industrial policy micro segment was not there. It was introduced in the National Industrial Policy 2005 for the first time. And afterwards, it has been defined. In 2010, micro was defined as $6,000 US investment to $61,000 US, 10 to 24 people working. But for service sector, this segment was missing in 2010 industrial policy. Similarly, in 2016 industrial policy, it has been defined that $1.85 million to $6.17 million investment companies are medium industries, whereas they can employ 121 people to 300 people. But for ready-made garments industry and other labor-intensive industry, this number could be up to 1,000. So from this small discussion, it is clear that evolution of small and medium enterprises in Bangladesh policies is somehow differs from the perspective of policies while it was drafted. To compare with some selected Asian countries, we can define only one indicator here. For example, employment generation. Micro in Bangladesh, it is 5 to 30 employment. 16 to 120, it is small. 51 to 300, it is medium industry. But for labor-intensive factories, it is up to 1,000. In Bhutan, we can see there is no micro segment of the industry. 5 to 19 people are small and 20 to 99 people are medium industry in Bhutan. In Japan, less than 50 is small, and from 50 to 300, it is can be termed as small industry, but from 300 above, it is medium industry. In Myanmar, it is less than 50, it is small, and 51 to 100, it is medium. In Thailand, less than 15 up to 49, it is medium, and 16 to 200, it is medium industry. In Turkey, less than 50, it is small industry, and less than 250, it is medium industry. In Vietnam, 10 to 200 people working in a company could be termed as small, and 200 to 300 it is medium. So from these particular definitions, we can say there is no uniform definition of small and medium industry, micro, cottage, small and medium industries around the world. In some countries, the micro segment is absent. In some countries, only small and medium segment is defined by their respective policies. Let's come to the point how we can define small and medium enterprises or cottage, micro, small and medium enterprises. Based on different indicators, Bangladesh defined based on employment size and replacement cost without land and building cost. In terms of India, it is only capital investment. Malaysia defined in terms of employment size and sales turnover. Bhutan defined based on capital investment and employment size. Similarly, Japan defines stated capital investment as well as employment size. Myanmar defines based on capital investment, employment size, and sales turnover, 3 indicators. So, different parts of the world define CMSME policies based on different indicators. Therefore, we cannot claim any uniform definition of CMSMEs around the world. Now, try to compare definition of CMSMEs, mainly micro, small, and medium in National Industrial Policy 2010 and National Industrial Policy 2016. You can see from 10 to 16 in manufacturing sector, micro industries threshold uplifted up to 61%, from $61,000 to $92,000. And small segment uplifted 121% times, from $1.23 million to $1.85 million investment. In medium, it was uplifted up to 363 times. But in terms of service sector, from 2010 definition, 2016 definition was reduced parallelly. For example, a small segment reduced for 24% and medium segment reduced for 368 times. In terms of replacement cost or capital investment. But in terms of employment, similar scenario is seen that in manufacturing sector, micro segment uplifted up to 6%, small 121 times percent, medium 364%. But the service sector reduced as before. Therefore, we can conclude here that from 2010 industrial policy definition, 2016 definition reduces service sector threshold, but increases manufacturing industry thresholds. Now come to the point, how many CMSMEs are there in Bangladesh? You know, in Bangladesh, National Economic Census was conducted by the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics in the year 2013. At that period, in 2013, our industrial policy was National Industrial Policy 2010. Therefore, the definition followed here in the economic census was as per Industrial Policy 2010 definition. According to the Industrial Policy 2010 definition, there are total 87.50% of Bangladeshi enterprises are cottage. That means Bangladeshi enterprises are leading by the cottage segment. Then followed by small, it is 10%, micro 1.33%, medium only 7,106 companies, large only 5,250 companies are there. In total, there are 78 million economic entities in Bangladesh, according to this census. So it means in terms of employment generation, in terms of GDP contribution, the CMSMEs are playing a very vital role. It will be very clear if we would like to compare it with some other Asian and other countries as well. For example, percentage of enterprises. CMSMEs are the majority everywhere around the world, whether it is developing country or LDC country or developed country. CMSMEs are the pioneers. For example, In some Asian countries, 97 to 99% of enterprises are CMSMEs. In Japan, in China, it is 97%. It is Malaysia, it is 97.5%. In Vietnam, it is 97.7%. In Singapore, it is 99.4%. So in Bangladesh, 99% enterprises could be termed as CMSMEs as per National Economic Census 2030. Obviously, if we can conduct a second census now, then the scenario will be the same. In terms of employment generation, SMEs are contributing a great. For example, in Bangladesh, 87.7% non-military employment are generating by the CMSMEs. In terms of GDP contribution, it is comparatively lower in Bangladesh. For example, Bangladeshi SMEs are contributing 25% of GDP, whereas it is 60% in Indonesia, it is 46% in Republic of Korea, South Korea, and 45% in Singapore, and 43.7% in Japan. From this perspective, we can say in export earnings, again, 42% export earnings of India comes from their CMSME sector, 41.5% of China, and 26.3% in Thailand, and 20% of Sri Lankan export earnings comes from the CMSME sector. From export earnings, from GDP contribution, from employment generation, every aspect, CMSMEs are the important segment of an economy, and these could be termed as prime mover in every economies, irrespectively developing, developed, or developed. Now come to the point, what COVID has impacted on CMSMEs. We know the coronavirus 19 disease affected the global economy. It reduces world trade up to 30%. And already $1 trillion losses occurred during this 1 year. Impact of COVID-19 on Bangladeshi CMSMEs. We know the coronavirus disease impacted around the globe. It stopped our supply chain. It bound us to go for lockdown, and the global trade hampered enormously. Last 1 year, coronavirus disease decreases international trade up to 30%. And it costs a huge, enormous amount of lives and wealth around the globe. So it also negatively affected Bangladeshi CMSME sectors. For example, according to one recent study, impact of COVID-19 on Bangladeshi SME profit, it recorded that 92.6% of the respondents said their profit has been reduced. And only 6.67% responded that they are unchanged, and only 0.67% respondents said their profit increased. This is mainly because of the business of pharmaceuticals, safety net business, and PPE, personal protection equipment business. They gain something, but in total, it is negative. How much profit declined? Around 37.14% CMSMEs responded that their profit declined up to 26 to 50%. 35% respondents said their profit declined 51 to 75%. And 19.29% respondents said their profit declined 1 to 25%. And this was the impact of COVID-19 on Bangladeshi CMSME sector. Now come to the point, what CMSMEs are. Are they sectors, subsectors, or segments? Many experts term CMSMEs as sector or subsectors. But is it sector? or subsector. What does it? In Bangladesh economy, the government of Bangladesh, while describing sector-wise economic progression, they refer the term sector for agriculture, industry, state-owned enterprises, power and energy, transport, communication, human resource development, poverty alleviation, private sector development, these broader aspects as sector. Therefore, we can say the cottage, micro, or small, these segment classifications of industries are not sector. Secondly, in the National Industrial Policy 2016, Chapter 3 defined as the large industry, medium industry, small industry, micro industry, cottage industry, handicrafts industry, high-tech industry, creative industry. So from this policy document, I mean National Industrial Policy 2016, we can say that the small, micro, cottage, these are part of industries, but not sector or subsector. Afterwards, in SME Policy 2019, the sectors where they have some vision, missions, and objectives, the CMSME enterprise was classified as industries or subsector when the cottage or small entities exist in various subsectors. Therefore, the CMSMEs cannot be termed as sector or subsector. We can categorize these as segment exist in every other sectors or subsectors irrespectively. Finally, now come to the point what CMSMEs are. So, in the SME Policy 2019, government targeted vision, mission, objectives, but defined strategies to achieve the vision. Sometimes technology got attention, sometimes size of enterprise got attention, sometimes subsectors got attention. But the objective and strategies were defined. At the same time, stimulus, incentive, special incentives, waivers, etc. Provided to different sectors. So how CMSMEs will adopt it or receive these stimuluses? Finally, we can say that as CMSMEs are existing in all sectors, all subsectors, and all categories, all segments of industries and services, therefore CMSMEs should be considered as an integral part of all sectors and subsectors and categories as a segment, and they should enjoy every support from the government declared for all sectors. They should not be classified differently. Where CMSMEs are mostly exist, almost every industrial subsectors behold CMSME segment or categories of enterprises. In the SME Policy Strategy 2005, following 11 booster sectors were identified for promotional support. And this list was supposed to be reviewed in every 3 years. Though this list has not been reviewed accordingly. But the 11 booster sectors were electrical electronics, software development, light engineering, agro-processing, knitwear, leather and leather goods, plastics, healthcare, educational services, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, toiletries, and fashion designing, aesthetically challenges, personal wear, and others. So these 11 subsectors are having promising number of CMSMEs. Therefore, government has identified these sectors as booster sectors in the SME Policy Strategy 2005. Later on, in the National Industrial Policy 2010, following 32 sectors have been identified as third sector: agro-processing, human resource, export, shipbuilding, renewable energy, tourism, basic chemical, ICT, IT-enabled services, ready-made garments, active pharmaceutical ingredients, herbal medicinal plant, radioactive application industries, development of polymer industries, jute and jute goods, leather and leather goods, hospital and clinic, light engineering, plastic, furniture, handicrafts, energy efficient appliances, frozen fish, tea industry, home textile, ceramics, tissue, crafting and biotechnology, jewelry, toys, container services, warehouses, innovativeness, and cosmetics and toiletries, and light engineering. These 32 sectors also considered as they are upholding CMSMEs mostly with promising CMSMEs. Therefore, they have been identified as third sector in the National Industrial Policy 2010. In National Industrial Policy 2016, 7 sectors were identified as high priority sectors. These are agro-processing, food processing, ready-made garments, ICT, software, pharmaceuticals, leather and leather goods, light engineering, jutes and jute goods. So finally, we can say that in SME Policy 2005, in Industrial Policy 2010, in Industrial Policy 2016, as well as in the SME Policy 2019, priorities were shifted into women entrepreneurship development, cluster-based SME development, achievement of the targets, and action plans. So we can say SMEs are existing in every other subsectors of the economy. So the CMSMEs are the lifeline of Bangladesh economy, we can say that. Sector or subsector location-wise CMSME development policy. If we would like to have a snapshot on the industry and SME policy of the country, National Industrial Policy 2005 was emphasized upon SCZ, EPZ, export processing, export orientation, foreign direct investment, these approaches of industrialization. Later on, in 2005, SME Policy 2005 emphasized upon sector-wise development. Therefore, they have identified 11 booster sectors. National Industrial Policy 2010 again emphasized upon women entrepreneurship development, incentive and packages development, cash incentive determination, and shift from the foreign investment to local investment, supporting local industry. The emphasis was shift from foreign investors to local investors. Then in 2016, the emphasis was given to the SME development, economic zone, high-tech park development, SME cluster development, cluster-based SME development, women entrepreneurship promotion, productivity, product quality, IPR issues, etc. So then the local industrialization, as well as to increase standards of the products produced here, the 2016 industrial policy focuses on. Finally, in 2019 SME policy emphasized upon targeting some objectives, determining strategies, and achieving the targets with a time-bound plan of action. From this total description, total discussion, we can say that government focus was changing from SEZ development, foreign investment, attraction, export orientation into local industry development, providing support to the local investors. And now it is going to productivity, product quality, intellectual property, this direction. Obviously, in coming days, to meet up the challenges of fourth industrial revolution, Bangladesh will go further, and our target should be mass scale production, technology adoption, and fourth IR technology orientation, as well as competition in the international market through signing PTA and FTA with our existing and potential trading partners. Cluster-based CMSME development. It is a unique shift, policy shift of the government, that in the SME policy 2019, they have categorized cluster-based SME, CMSME development especially one strategic goal is SME cluster-based network development and expansion. Two objectives are there. Number one is special action will be taken to overcome infrastructure, roads, electricity, water, and communication limitation existing in SME clusters and basic industrial state. Another important thing, SME Foundation was created to take over the SME development issue. But before that, Bangladesh Small and Cottage Industries Corporation, BSIC, was working for the small and cottage industries development. Therefore, in the SME policy 2019, BSIC's industrial state as well as SME clusters got equal priority of the government, and each and every target was focusing upon both to the basic industrial state as well as the entrepreneurship development in basic industrial state and entrepreneurship development in SME clusters. So second objective was considering the importance of SME cluster national economy to the national economy, following initiative will be taken. It clearly defined 5 initiatives. Number one, infrastructure development in SME clusters as well as basic industrial state. Establishment of incubation center, common facility center in SME clusters and basic industrial states. Collateral-free single-digit loan will be provided to the promising entrepreneurs of SME clusters and basic industrial state. Capacity and skills development program will be undertaken for the entrepreneur as well as workers in SME clusters and basic industrial states. Finally, cluster development needs assessment will be conducted and business network will be expanded. So this is for the first time in Bangladesh history, government has provided enough attention to the cluster-based SME or CMSME development. But a matter of fact that government is trying to foster cluster development. SME Foundation is working with cluster development. BSIC is also working with cluster development or basic industrial state development. But we need a specialized cluster development authority. It could be National Cluster Development Authority for promoting and fostering cluster development in Bangladesh. Because the SME clusters, they are already there. So they have naturally grown. Only need is just to provide some low-hanging fruits to them, and they will contribute even more than the SEZ or others as well. Therefore, I would like to strongly recommend here to the government and policymakers to establish Bangladesh SME Development Authority. Now come to the point, what are the challenges facing by the CMSMEs in Bangladesh? As a developing country, Bangladesh is just going to be graduated from the least developed list, but we are belonging some limitations. For example, poor infrastructure and utility supply to the industries is a limitation for us. Infrastructure means industrial infrastructure. Here we can see roads, bridges, EPZs, SEZs, ports, seaports, airports. These types of infrastructure we need much to compete with Vietnam, China, Cambodia, and other competitors in the global market. So we have limitation in collateral-free bank loan. Till now, only a few packages are there, but availing a collateral-free bank loan is really tough. Limited access to information, traditional technology, and inferior product quality. In most of the SME or CMSME clusters throughout the country, I saw the entrepreneurs are using technology made up of 1960s or 1970s. These are not uniform technologies, therefore their productivity capacity is very low. Product quality is also inferior. So how we can compete with our inferior quality products with the modern state-of-art products importing from China or India or any other countries? So therefore, it is the need of time for the CMSMEs of Bangladesh to adopt modern technology, increase productivity, increase product quality, as well as standardization is the need of the time now. Another challenge is absence of designing, development, and testing facilities. In Bangladesh, we are lagging behind in each of the every sector. We are lagging behind in designing capacity. The same design, same shape is producing by our entrepreneurs for last 30 years or 40 years, where the world has progressed a lot. Therefore, we should have sector-specific product designing, development, as well as testing facilities to develop our existing sector, to diversify our existing sector. Otherwise, we will be roaming around RMZ. Our export basket will never be diversified if we cannot facilitate these designing, development, and testing facilities for each and every sector. Our levers are economy, but in competitive price, but their productivity is low. Their efficiency level is not up to the mark. Therefore, government have to increase investment in capacity building as well as productivity enhancement of the labor force. Bangladesh is exporting 10 million workers and earning around $18 billion. But Philippines or Indonesia, they are exporting 1/10 of Bangladeshi workers, but they are earning 10 times more than us. How? They are exporting efficient skill level. So we should develop skills of our laborers here in Bangladesh and export to the world market as well as employ to the local market. Skill level is another lackings for Bangladeshi CMSMEs. Lack of marketing knowledge, proficiency, and many others. So if we can try to enlist at least 20 challenges are enlisted here in this slide. I will not go one by one, but I would like to say if government provides due attention and our private sector come forward hand to hand, then obviously our CMSME sector will flourish further. And in this perspective, I would like to recommend something here to establish industrial infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, terminals, EPZs, clusters, etc. We should have, as I mentioned it before, National Cluster Development Authority for development and promotion of 177 CMSME cluster of Bangladesh. Then single-digit startup loan, collateral-free loan, or venture capital, a low-cost international source of funding should be opened up for Bangladeshi entrepreneurs. Finally, facilitating technology adoption, technology transfer, technology upgradation is demand of the time. And obviously, we should consider establishment of sector-specific, product-specific, product designing, testing, common facility centers, etc., for promoting an upgradation of Bangladeshi CMSMEs as well as to diversify our export basket. So I will not go one by one. Here I enlist here 17 recommendations for consideration of the government as well as stakeholders for the betterment of Bangladeshi CMSME. Finally, in my closing remarks, I would like to say that establishing few enterprises who enjoy newly declared government cash incentives or other incentives and closing the same by end of the incentive facilities should not be our target. Our target should be sustainable graduation of each of the enterprises from their existing level shall be the result of our CMSE development initiative and policies. With these few words, I hope the government, private sector, entrepreneurs, as well as policymakers, experts, technicians, and technologists, everybody will come forward and work for the betterment of Bangladeshi CMSME sector. With this word, thank you very much. Hope to see you again.
Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner. We take care of trade and investment, education and skills, economic diplomacy and economic development. If you would like to keep you updated on these issues, please subscribe to Developing Bangladesh. Thank you very much for watching till the last.